All right, returning back once more, rolling into game 3 here. DFM, although it's been a bit shaky at points, and Sengoku Gaming are doing their best to try and knock down the great tree that is Detonation FocusMe, it's a little bit harrowing, as every time it feels like they're trying to battle back, Detonation FocusMe have that period where they really rally together and put an early nail in the coffin. Now the other thing that's still standing out to me is, of course, just the draft mistakes coming out from Sengoku Gaming. Is ultimately this hyper priority on Trundle is not getting anywhere for Sengoku. The switch to the Aatrox did net some value. You did have some good play in those team fights from the Aatrox. So, not a bad option that you can go down, but maybe consider pairing it with some options that can help benefit it. Run up with a Callista that has gone unpicked and unbanned in both of these games so far. Callista Taric has seen no ban attention. You could even run back onto the fasting Senna as an option if you really need to try and keep your team protected to push into DFM. But ultimately, Sengoku needs to switch one of two things. They either need to give this Aphelios ban attention and this Kindred ban attention to not let DFM play into this defensive scaling comp that they have been, or Sengoku needs to get on a more reliable draft outcome where you're respecting that this Trundle is not a blind pick option. Locking in the Trundle on a B1 pickup and then having to trade over Aphelios Kindred, which as it stands right now, Sengoku is not an answer for either, does not bode well for their chances in this series. It's not impossible, though, for Sengoku to come back. They can make some adjustments where they need to and really bring this series back in their favor. But they're going to have their work cut out for them for sure. The other note is, of course, that DFM, even in victory, are adapting their comp. Heimerdinger gets banned away, totally fine. We have the Azir pickup. Also, trading out the top laner, they remove the Aatrox. Well, the Aatrox really removed from them, but ultimately for the better. Picking up the Gnar is a fine replacement. And honestly, although the Gnar doesn't have the most amount of zone control in the world, is just a better pickup than the Aatrox, who wants to leave that zone control behind. Well, in the last game, the Aatrox played exactly to the opposite of DFM's comp. This time, they can play around a bit. And the last thing we want to see when we get into this one is, of course, you do not want to see Sengoku opting in to just repeat the ban phase once more, run it all the same back, as this time it felt just about the same as it had gone behind before. It went a bit worse early, and Sengoku kind of battled back in the mid and then transitioning into late game. But DFM really, so every time Sengoku was going 2 for 1, 3 for 2, slowly just picking up one extra kill here and there. While in this series, while in the last one, there were points where Sengoku looked more firmly in control. In the last game, Sengoku needs a clean win if they really want to rip the game back into their hands. And unfortunately, they weren't able to find it before DFM were. And that was just what they needed to end that game out and call it call it curtains for that game.
そこの序盤の修正というのが必要だろうという判断でのレッドサイドの選択だと思いますから、そこのドラフトはかなり注目するポイントになると思いますね。
なるほど。リールさんもそのドラフトのところで何か気になるポイントありますか？
おそらくバルスユーミあたりは戦後が消した上でサードピックでサポートを取ることによってボットレーンでカウンターを当てられて苦しい状況っていうのを回避していこうという狙いなのかなと。おそらくスレッシュを取った上で、ブリッツ農地を消せばまあまあボット主導権取れるんじゃないかなっていうのが狙いなんじゃないかなとは思ってますね。
なるほど。そのあたり修正してくるのではないかということですね。ありがとうございます。さあ、そしてここでちょっとですね、春これまでの結果をちょっと振り返ってみたんですが、
The unfortunate part is that there really isn't a lot to say on Sengoku's side when you're really running back the exact same playbook. And what it feels like is butting their head up against the same brick wall twice. Would love to see some adaptations come out from Sengoku, especially in a 5-game series. You've had your 2 opportunities to play it out. That sort of lose into it once, shame on them. Lose into it twice by just trying to run it back is a very shame on you. Losing it 3 times is a great way to get second in the spring LJL split. That being said, of course, their opportunity will come here. As we prepare to go into picks and bans here for what DFM could make their final attempt.
ほぼ完璧と言えるでしょう。そういった試合展開でものにしていますが、どうでしょう、リクルさん。
そうですね。ここで先行ゲーミングとしては何か変えなければいけないというところで、レッドサイドの選択にはなってます。僕もそのリールベルトさんと同じ意見で、ボットレーンのレーニングの改善というところに意識を割く、サードピック目もしくはもう最後まで、ラストピックまでもうサポートのピックを隠して、カウンターをしっかり当てていく、もしくはカウンターを消すという作業をしてくるんじゃないかなというふうに考えてますね。
かなりこのレッドサイドの利点を生かしてまずボットレーンの有利をという風になっていくでしょうか。
そうですね。どちらにせよビンレーンを作ることが重要ですね。
Alrighty, and as we load in here this time, DFM on the blue side will change things up slightly. Although it looks like for the most part they're keeping their bans traditional. This time Sengoku opting to ban away the Varus. A little bit interesting is the Varus ban, and I don't like what that potentially means for Sengoku going forward here, is not banning away the Aphelios, as DFM is very likely to pick it. Is it flipped? They're sort of swapping sides and swapping bans along with it, as Sengoku going to ban away great. I swear this is flipped. Am I losing my mind right now? But we won't look too far into it. For now, really what is coming to mind is that DFM are just going to draft into the Aphelios once more if given the opportunity. So unless this Varus ban comes alongside an Aphelios ban, I can't understand what the Varus ban is going for here. This time Zoe showing up a little bit earlier in the ban phase this time. Is Trundle going to be banned away this time? Is also a little bit questionable, as why remove the counter pick option? It's not that the pick is so valuable, it is more so that you need to understand where it falls in the draft, as DFM are happy to lock in Aphelios for the 3rd time in a row, and Sengoku need to figure out what the answer is, and I swear if they lock in Misfortune, I am going to lose my mind.
ここまでのところでの勝利歴、センゴゲーミングほぼ瀬戸使ってないですよね。ですから、ただここで使えると。
And it will be the Misfortune locked in. You know what? Understandable. You had some valuable bullet times throughout this series. I'd love to see what else you can do with it. Oh, don't do it. Don't do it, Sengoku, please. Save me from that. If you want to lock Jarvan, it's fine. If you want to lock Jarvan, I understand. But do not lock it all off. We'll see what Sengoku locks in for their last pick, and it will be the Jarvan, which I do enjoy a bit. Get on the map early, start that ball rolling so that you don't have to play from the back foot. Although DFM are in a perfect position to just once again run back the comp. They can draft a set alongside it this time, given that that one was passed over in priority. No ban given over to it. That DFM can also draft into an Ornn if they really want to. Now that there's no Trundle to really contest it. Ornn still open, Kindred still on the table. If they want to just repeat that defensive format, Heimerdinger also an option if they want to take up a mid lane slot here. The Karma pickup is a little bit interesting for DFM here. Possibly showing signs of a slight change in identity here. It's a little bit odd, but not entirely amiss. The Karma is still somewhat flexible, can go to the mid lane if Seros ends up having to pilot that one, as NT going to get the Thresh once more. Is a confirm on the Thresh. Now Sengoku picking up going into their 2nd round of bans. Likely to see a Heimerdinger banned away in this round. Elise also on the table, taking away jungle position. Set can be flexed into the jungle, although I do believe is among Set's weaker positions on the in his overall win rate. Although DFM on their side can ban away a couple of top laners that are popular into Set. Victor, not a terrible ban. Has received a decent amount of ban attention so far, despite having not a whole lot of games played in the LJL. But with the set locked in, Sengoku can't exactly look to lock in Ornn anymore, which part of the reason that they were passing that up and not locking that one in right away, as Kindred's going to be banned away, and I like to see that from Sengoku. Recognize it had been so hard for them to push through the Kindred in the past 2 games, so banning it away, taking it off the table, is exactly what you like to see. Unfortunately for Sengoku is that Heimerdinger is still available as an option, so they still can set up great zones of control. It's DFM going to ban away Ornn from the side of Sengoku just to remove that option from Sengoku. If they do want to run it up against the set, they could have and just accepted that it would be a rough lane, but you get the ornaments up later. They will forego that for now, as DetonatioN eyeing up the Aatrox. He will be locking that one in, somewhat throwing down the gauntlet that he will be able to fight it out with the set in the top side. So Opperman playing once again what he had some success on, as Renekton being hovered by the side of DFM. We had seen a lot of ban attention to Renekton in these games so far. Azir also a very fine option, as just being a very defensive champion, great zoning ability with the ultimate, played very well with the Aphelios before, so happy to do it again, although Seros will need to play a little bit more reserved. Did have a couple moments where he was just getting a little bit too up there for his own good, as the last pick is yet to come in. And it will be the Gnar locked in, and you can hear them mention it there. It is going to be the set in the jungle position. Sengoku Gaming looking at a couple picks of their own. The Heimerdinger would not fit very well into the comp that Sengoku currently has, as the Ziggs is going to be locked in. Pyrion kind of challenging Seros at his own game. He will get the Ziggs in there, and is a somewhat fair champion to play into. Seros does have a lot of poke opportunities into Azir. The W satchel charge does kind of deter any all-ins, although Seros, once he hits that level 6, the shuffle is something that Ziggs can be very susceptible to. It's a little bit slow to get the satchel charge off, can be somewhat hard to dodge out on the wall engage, especially with the wall throwing them into a set E, which is, and then into a possible showstopper ultimate as well. It's a lot of time spent CC'd for the small explosive maniac, as we will be loading in here for game 3. And I have to say, momentum is carrying on the side of DFM. And when they're playing a comp that they are consistently comfortable with, it becomes hard to imagine what Sengoku are going to do differently now moving forward. Sengoku has some options available to them. They can get if they get a ball rolling, if this Jarvan is able to get onto the map early enough, they can get a gold advantage and they can press it very well. The Aatrox and the Jarvan both played that very effectively. The unfortunate part is that they are on somewhat of a clock if they don't get a lead early on here. Azir and Aphelios will eventually just start burning through the lack of frontline on the side of Sengoku. So, the onus of action is on Sengoku, while DFM, repeating the same as before, inaction is action in their department. And it will remain to be seen if DFM can pull it off one last time to close out this series. I don't think anyone would have called a 3-0 out, but as it stands right now, Sengoku, a slightly bad meta read. Just sort of, I want to call it a meta read, right? Because the Trundle being that high on your priority list is, it sort of hangs itself by showing its own hand. Is we draft into the Trundle, you can't play a tank into it. In every scenario, not only does Sengoku not take the opportunity to pick up the tanks that are not being drafted by DFM. DFM just say, that's alright, we'll have enough zone control, we'll have a kindred to keep us alive. We don't need tanks when we have this immortality field, you know, waiting in the wings, as well as a plethora of turrets and soldiers to bide our time.
LJL 2020スプリングスプリットファイナル ゲーム4、ゲーム3ですね、失礼しました。全国ゲーミング VS デトネーションフォーカスミスタートです。さあまずは広がりあって、この動きですと、
And as we start things up
じゃ
here
なさそうですね。
for what could be the last time for DFM and Sengoku on this rift. Traditional runes fairly all the way across. Nothing too out there. Eyes will be on Blank in this series. He'll need to be on the map early and be active if he wants to try and give Sengoku a chance in this series. Playing a sinful comp like this one, you need to get ahead early, but it's not necessarily a bad thing, especially into the likes of DFM, who have been happy to just wait the games out and has kind of shown a little bit of shakiness throughout these past couple games. There are moments where DFM just had laxes in their play. If Sengoku can really capitalize off that and get a ball rolling, it will be everything for them to try and have a chance at least getting on the board for this series. The onus will still be on Udapon to make most of the execution in this fight, though. Meanwhile, both junglers pathing towards the bottom side. Blank getting here a little bit earlier. We'll have a gank opportunity available as Pyrion hits the level 2. We'll bounce him into the creep wave to land a Q as well. A little bit of value actually coming out from that play by the side of Pyrion as he bouncing them into the wave to Q the wave. You get a little extra shove in there as well. Not a bad look by any stretch, but Blank walking down here will get warded up and uses the flag actually very well to get that extra attack speed to make sure he gets the ward before the sweeper turns off. Very well done, actually. A little micro play there as Steel now coming down here onto Sengoku. Looks like he might be here. Flashes forward. NT with the death sentence dodges out on it, but Udapon's the one who gets hooked up. NT going very low. Will burn all of the summoners from Sengoku, only for one jungler's flash. And this is where things look a little rough for Sengoku. Now you have this exploitable bot lane. While there isn't a whole lot of engaging that DFM can do in this bot lane, if Steel is able to find a repeat performance on them, there are no summoner spells to speak of. As Steel looking for an opportunity here, has Hex Flash to walk forward onto Pyrion here. Eing possibly to predict Seros' flash there, but Seros is just kind of duking it out with Pyrion. He might be able to find a kill. Seros forced to flash away. The W not going to do a whole lot of damage there. As now Opperman is here to help his friends, and that will ultimately deter the play for now. And in the wake of that, Blank still looking for his first opportunity on the map. As a Jarvan, you cannot be getting out-ganked by a set this early on. Now, I will say, I do really like the Phase Rush plus Hex Flash opportunity, because he does have Nimbus Cloak as well, which does kind of add a little bit of potency to his Hex Flash ganks out of bushes. A lot of move speed to help stick on and then dog people down will help him on his gank path here, as he paths back towards the bottom side to look around at this Infernal Drake. We'll see if he's able to get anything off here, while Blank in the meantime, Jarvan not the best at soloing the Drake. does not have a whole lot of resistance stats to make that work, but he has a great gank opportunity here onto Yutapon. Utonamayashi's rooted up, so can't quite get there in time, as Yutapon going to burn his flash for that one. Not going to be able to get the root onto Blank in time, as he backs away towards the safety of his blue side jungle, while Steel looking around here, seeing if he can find Blank out. Sweeper will spot him over the wall, but nothing that Steel can really do to force a fight there that would have any real meaning, as he looks back towards the mid lane. Hexflesh going to come in here, all in onto Pyrian. He will be able to find a good stun opportunity here. Bounces out, the W does not enough damage. And Pyrian very well to hold his flash there, weathering the storm of one more gank. As Blank now looking for an opportunity onto Steel, lets him pass, possibly looking to target Saros once he wanders forward here. But playing the information game as the human ward there. Meanwhile, on this top side, Evi getting a little bit of the better end of these early trades, still having one health bot to his name. Steel in the wake of that one, knowing Pyrian's a little bit too low HP to answer any Baron or any Dragon plays, will be able to pick up an early Infernal Drake, which won't have a whole lot of impact now, but definitely later will just be a little bit extra damage and added on to the pile that is Azir Aphelios. Says, for now, the farm fest shall continue. Now with this Rift Herald spawning up in about 30 seconds, both of the bot laners have already taken a back. They're actually fresh off of their back. So perhaps what we're seeing here is the shift into realizing rotating so many members for a Rift Herald is just not worth it. Last game especially, Yutapon got a full turret with plates to himself by punishing the rotation of 5 men up for a Rift Herald. So now Sengoku totally willing to let that one pass over, but Steel still going to look to find some value on this top side as Opperman looking to back under turret. Steel wandered forward there close enough to get Opperman to back off. W going to miss, but Opperman should just be able to move out with the World Ender move speed bonus. That will net a turret plate over to Evi, as well as deny Opperman some of the gold and experience from that wave, as he will take the back there. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Pyrian getting a little bit of farm advantage picked up here, as he'll rotate over for this blue buff. And now Sengoku can play a little bit more aggressive in this bot lane now that their summoners are all returned to them. But for the most part, not a whole lot of hard forcing of action on either side in that bot lane. And it looks like a tower dive might be on the docket here. Blank going to go in with the ultimate. EQs back out to dodge out on the turret aggro. Yutapon is going to go down there. Pyrian finding a snipe with the ulti. First blood over to Sengoku. In a very cleanly executed dive. Don't need to overextend. Burns, barrier, and heal from the side of DFM, so opens up more gank opportunities to come. But ultimately, one clean first blood, as well as, I believe, did burn Evi's teleport to try and help out on that play. Watch this one more time as it looks like ultimate's in, just goes for the EQ right out, doesn't want to take turret for too long. Cleanly executed on the dive as
連携でしたね。
Sengoku on the top side here. Evi going to chase down Opperman a bit, giving him the respect that jungler could be right around the corner as Opperman backs away there. And now, Yutori Mayashi with the early advantage in this lane will need to make the most of it if he wants to keep ahead in pace of the Aphelios.
ことは可能ですね。
And it looks like Blank has camps respawning on the bot side, so has an opportunity to give some attention over there and really seal the deal that Yutori Mayashi could be ending up ahead here.
ですからそこで張り合わずにトップレーンサイドで
Seeing jungler on the other side of the map, you can see some pings coming out. Blank is trying to find a safe route around here to get to that. I don't believe he was spotted on that pink ward. And they don't know he's here. They're going to look for a repeat performance on this dive. Blank is onto Utapon, but Utapon has chakrams. He can buy himself a decent amount of time. Blank not going to go down, barely living with enough HP there as the death sentence doesn't drag gang close enough. But now the rest of the team is here. They can look to try and repeat the dive. The bullet time is going to burn down onto gang. Saros is left alone looking at 5. A great flash into Shuffle to just try and buy himself some time. But there are so many members here that he cannot hold them all off by himself. That is now 4-0 on the side of Sengoku Gaming.
切り替えていたというところではあったんですが
Cleanly executing multiple dives on this bottom side here is possibly getting a little ambitious for this turret plate. NT going very, very low there, but they will be able to grab up the turret in the end. And now Sengoku has an opportunity, but DFM trying to see if they can grab anything on their way out. Unfortunately, cannot stop them at this moment. We'll watch this dive play out one more time. I believe Blank should have been seen there
ますからトップレーンとのトレードになり
on the pink ward, but only for a moment before he is here for this game, or for this gank, excuse me. So Blank EQ onto Utapon. They know who they can target first. Once he is down, gang is soon to follow. So teleport comes in. I do like that Pyrian sent the ultimate before teleporting, kind of comes in right after it, as now Opperman is going to be the target of a dive of his own, as he's going to try and buy himself some space. Steel will use a W, but that Haymaker does not give enough HP. Utapon also taking a turret shot there. They can't even go in to try and finish Opperman off here. Saros showing up now, has an opportunity if they want to relook for the dive. He does have R available, but DFM will take that KO to back off. Dive not in effect, as now Yutori Mayashi has solo time pushing on this top lane. Evi is going to be the target of a dive of his own. EQ is going to miss out, but the death sentence will land. And it just feels like Sengoku are in the position of multiply clean executed dives. And it begins to make me wonder, why were we putting so much priority onto a Trundle when Blank is clearly capable of executing multiple dives, is clearly comfortable with this Jarvan?
逆にそのスティールがいない位置で動かしていってますね、先行ゲーミング。
Utapon will grab himself up a turret and trade 1-for-1 top for bot turrets.
というのが大きく影響しているように見えますね。ただ、アパメン選手があれだけ
But now,
苦しめられている
stiffly advantaged Sengoku
というのは本当に大きいと思いますね。
could be good for their chances to pull a game out of this set.
1000ゴールド以上の差をつけている。なおかつですよ、アパメン選手が400ゴールドしか差が開いていないというところですよね。
かなり苦しんだとリクルさんも
Now
言ってましたけども
for
そのアパメンがこのゴールド
DFM, of course. This is the position now where they're the ones who need to be battling back. Now they're the ones on this early back foot.
トップのアウトアウトも先行ゲーミング
And for them, their lack of hard engage is going to mean that they can't
デトネーションフォーカスミーも
sort of assert themselves back into this game, as Opperman going to face check onto Gang here. Steel is there in company as a W route comes out, but nothing that can be capitalized off of right away. Not a fight they want to take, as the downside, of course, to Set in the jungle is that he is not nearly the same scrapper that the top lane Set is. Just not enough gold in the jungle available, not enough experience to keep up in levels. So won't be able to really duke it out with Opperman on this Aatrox anytime soon.
まずはチーム全体で一度リコールをしてミッドレーンのアウタータワーにしっかりとプレッシャーをかけていく、あとはネクストドレイクを確実に抑えたいと。一方でディトネーションフォーカスミーとしてもドラゴンのスタックが2つあるというところが助かっている要因ではあると思いますから、ドラゴンのスタックを使って
Now with both teams having the outer ends of this map opened up, the short lane of the mid ping-ponging minions back and forth will mostly fall to Udapon in this scenario, as he looks to try and get towards his second item as soon as possible. And understandably so, as Mountain Drake spawning up in about 1 minute now. This isn't a Cloud Soul anymore, it's a bit more of an impactful soul. Especially with both comps kind of having drafted for a bit more of a team fight orient. It also adds a huge amount of just survivability to Aatrox, who can rely on this shield to cover him getting in, as Saros goes forward there. Does get Yutorimeyashi's flash, although I don't know if he needed to 100% flash away from that one, but definitely a better safe than sorry in that scenario. Sengoku spawning up the Rift Herald here. Pyrian utilizing the W to pick that one up in the end. As DFM are looking for a turret onto this top side, we'll be able to knock down the top tier 1. And now have time to reset for this Mountain Drake. Sengoku will have first opportunity at controlling the vision around it. But Blank is going all in onto Udapon here. Forces Udapon to flash out of the Cataclysm Pit. Not enough damage, even with Severum, to really just deter Blank from all-inning him like that. So understandably has to flash away from there. And Sengoku Gaming will pick themselves up their first Drake here. With this first Mountain Drake. The other sort of interesting note about it is stacking the Mountain Drakes makes it that much harder for DFM to teamfight, although Azir and Aphelios don't often care about how many resistance stats you have in general, but will remain to be seen if Sengoku decide to get too aggressive for some of these objectives. We have seen them sort of fall in objective fights before, so possibly could be an out DFM we're looking for later on. And as we enjoy a bit more of a lull state for now, one of the sort of interesting things is, of course, the jungle set, and why we don't see it very often is, of course, just the lack of income on set in the jungle position means he is not getting towards his items nearly as quickly. He doesn't get as many levels to put into that W shield. And he really does need a lot of the defensive items so that he can stay in and brawl as long as he wants. But maybe he has just found Opperman here. Will ult him back in. But forcing out the flash, Opperman will be able to get to safety. Great Summoner spell burned from the side of DFM, but no kills on the board yet, as Blank is all in onto Unipon here. Conqueror is not going to be enough healing to save him there, as right now the Jarvan is severely exploiting this Aphelios, and once again, I'm only left to ask, Sengoku, where was this in games 1 and 2?
糸もよしも合流させてミッドのインナータワーを狙いに行きます戦国ゲーミング。これは取れそうです。さあ戦国ゲーミング。
Well, now that they have it, Sengoku are making the most of it. 3k gold lead now in their favor.
AI の勝利予想この段階で戦国ゲーミング 68% と出ています。
なんでしょうね。先ほどまでのゲームだとこれぐらいの有利を取っているともう 70%、80%
And as we're moving forward here, with both of the mid turrets down, Sengoku now needs to pay a bit more pressure towards these outer turrets. Yotorimi has been spending enough time in top lane that he is collecting a lot of those waves, but it will start falling to the teleport members to be operating those side lanes when it comes to this mountain drake starting to spawn up. As you can see, it looks like Opperman did take a back there. He's running back to bot lane right away. Could be opting towards the top lane if he wanted to stay up there with TP advantage, but Yutonomiyashi picking up, waiting his turn at the farm as Seros sends the wave back into him. And now, DFM, obviously going for the Mountain Soul, it will help immensely for your chances, or for, you know, in general, the Mountain Soul is not exactly the most impactful soul, but definitely does help by all means. Is Blank going to find an EQ, is going to knock up Steel, has Cataclysm available to keep him locked up if he needs it. Looks like he will use it, but the ultimate to carry him back out of it. Steel's going to find his stun there, forced to flash away in the end, and will get to safety. Now, DFM have to look for something here. Evi already used R, so does not have that available to drag the fight any longer. Looks like Steel will take the reset here. Sengoku has a free mountain opportunity, but Steel is beelining his way back to that dragon pit. Has Hex Flash available, so can make plays even over the wall. But it looks like DFM are going to hand over the Mountain Drake in exchange for some vision around the Baron pit. Sengoku currently thinking that they're on it, while DFM tried to bait the bush here. Sengoku's still wandering around. They're both their carries in the mid lane, but not wandering close enough to the bush of death from DFM here. And as we continue to move through this kind of lull state for now, the dragons being as split as they are will sort of drag this game out, and you worry that that is going to be enough time for DFM to get Aphelios towards those key items that he loves to have. You can already see him 2.5 items, but Blank face checking Steel may keep Steel from getting near any items as he ease to get the stun. Will use a showstopper to bring his comp back in, but he only gave the Jarvan a free ultimate onto Unipon and gang. A bit troll by Steel there. He actually ended up being the detriment to his own team, carrying the Jarvan in to get a free Cataclysm on 2 members. Not exactly what you want to be seeing from Steel. Now the rest of Sengoku look to keep zoning DFM away from looking at the Baron here. Gets pulled over the walls. Opperman's forced to flash over. DFM will not actually get first blood on the board. Narrowly being saved. As Jarvan's going to secure the Baron there. They can just look for a back opportunity. Opperman is all in on the steal. He uses the blast cone to get over the wall. They can take the reset now. As far as kills are concerned, this could be a clean game from the side of Sengoku.
さあこのバロンを生かしてあとはゲームをしっかりと畳むことができるかという段階まで来てます。
ブランク選手はフラッシュがある状況、そしてイトポン選手はフラッシュがない状況ですから、多少強引にフラッシュから入っていたとしても捕まえることが可能になってますね。
先ほどのシーンのリプレイ。
ここ本当に冷静でしたね。
This all sort of starts with one bad face check, but watch Steel utilize the ultimate, and it just sort of gives a free Cataclysm over to Blank, who now has just locked up the bot support of DFM. And with Evi being zoned away on the upper end of that fight, there's not a whole lot that DFM can do to salvage that situation.
まずはボットのインナータワーからいきます戦国ゲーミング。
They will pressure down the mid lane tier 1 turret. Can look to group as 5 if they want to try and open the inhib on this bottom end here. Blank does have flash available, so can go for a fancy play if he wants. Steel will be coming around the flank on this side as Seros goes very low, about half HP to him. EQ are in, Blank is on, he will go golden, but so will Utapon to dodge out on the bullet time, as they may have just botched this fight. Steel finds a huge amount of knockups and stuns, the W shredding through the lines of Sengoku. DetonatioN FocusMe may have just found their fight, but not only that, have found a clean 4-man kill in the wake of that one. A decent amount of shutdowns as well added on will help DFM bounce back a bit. Still about a 3k gold differential, so we'll see where DetonatioN FocusMe can take this one. But that was a clean fight from DFM. Blank going a little bit too all in on that account. Ends up just being too deep, disjointed with the rest of his team, and it ends up costing them as Gang almost taking a little bit too much turret aggro there as he uses the Mantra E just to get out of that scenario. Mountain Drake spawning up in about 10 seconds now. It looks like DFM, recognizing they overstayed for turret objectives, are going to just take the back. They will not be able to get to this Mountain Drake in time, unless, of course, Steel wants to try and have a smite fight for it. He does have flash, so can get into the pit very quickly. Going to come in here, Blank smiting that one out. Steel will have to use his flash in the end, seeing how long he can dance around in the pit for now. Watch this one more time. Blank makes the call to go in with the ultimate, but is a little bit at the wrong time. You can't engage into the Mega Gnar, especially when you have to run past him. Evi gets a 3-man stun, I believe, followed up immediately by Steel with the Haymaker. And that is exactly how a fight like that will go wrong insanely quickly for Sengoku. Blank, of course, good engages, but does need to be careful as he EQs right past Evi, possibly just forgot he was there entirely. Remains to be seen as DFM will still try and find their way back into this one. Only about 2k gold lead now, the smallest it's been in some time. But now with Sengoku up to Soul Point, that is another layer of concern that DFM have, and they will need to be the ones They will need to be the ones engaging now that this is on the table here.
そしてこの30分段階での AI ゴール予想出ています。67%。あまり動いてないですか？
そうですね、あれだけ、ゴールド獲得されてしまったものの、やはりドレイクが
Baron also spawning up in about a minute. If DFM want to try and sneak away a Baron, they can, but with the amount of damage currently in the side of Sengoku, they also have a fairly decent Baron take. Looks like with that knowledge, they do plan to encroach some of the vision around this Baron objective. Grouping 5 strong, just to make sure in case anyone's around, they can look for a flight to in the end. It's not a bad idea from the side of Sengoku, as DFM will take the inside track to mid, see if they can knock down this turret in the absence of Sengoku. And once again, SG sort of routed away from their own mid lane by extending a little bit too far past their opponents. The Cataclysm is in though. Blank will have the stone plate, but Utapon not going down there and still having GA means that this could still go the way of Sengoku. EQ's again onto Steel, doing his best. Blank will try to solo him out, but nothing he has an opportunity for. A 2-man stun from Evi as he's now forced to flash away. Saros goes large here. Shurima shuffle just to buy him some time, but ultimately will net them a 1-for-1. Huge amount of healing coming in from the Triumph on the World Ender there from Opperman. But 1-for-1 overall, mid for support. Will only be the end of that play before anything spells out in too large a fashion.
この状況を考えると次のファイトでかなり影響出てきそうですね。ビリアン選手のダメージというのもかなり凄まじくてですね、ユタポン選手のヘルスを7割近く削り切ることは可能ではあったんですが、やはりちょっとゆとりまや選手のアルティメットも合わせる必要がありそうですね。
バレットタイムですね。決戦場に向けて
And going 1-for-1 there is somewhat benefit DFM in that scenario. I don't believe the Azir had a shutdown, so not giving over an obscene amount of gold by any means. But a teleport coming in from DFM here that will be Saros, as an ultimate comes in, but right into Evi's combo here. Blank will be pulled away. The Ignite will burn him down. Actually, no, it was a straight auto from Saros that will knock him down in the end. The Leandri's burn knocking him down, and DFM having just found 2. Mid lane down, so a lot of their lane clear gone. DFM are going to start marching into the base here. They're going to look for an engage here. Flashes forward from Utapon to get the snare in. Steel has a showstopper and a huge stun opportunity. This will be DFM actually just playing the team fights so much cleaner than Sengoku. They will be able to sweep this series. A 3-0 sweep, no soul required, as DFM cement themselves as not only the returning champions, but a 3-0 lead over Sengoku, showing dominant performance as a team fighting team in the LJL. Very low though now. Sengoku has opportunities here. Stray Qs from Pyrian will just knock down any member, as they are actually going to be deterred. This is the last stand from Sengoku as a world ender spot, but there is still a turret between them. Sengoku Gaming actually has a breath of life. The respawn timers coming in and just blinking HP bars on the side of DFM. They're forced to retreat. They can grab a Mountain Drake to put themselves onto Soul Point, but they're going to need one more fight win if they want to find an out in this out of this game. It was hard to believe that DFM could end it as they did, and as it stands, Sengoku Gaming are given one last opportunity, and it looks like rushing down this Baron is first thing on their minds. The resets are in though from DFM as they march up mid lane looking towards this Baron. Half HP, they need to burn it down quickly. Evi doing what he can to harass. Blank is in the pit, so they will be able to secure this one safely, but how will the fight break out from here? Utapon treading lightly. Evi with the ultimate that is going to be Yotorimeyashi found out here. Although Steel zoning away the rest of the team, they will find one. NT as well has really nowhere to run, as they will find two now. That will leave Pyrian, Blank, and Opperman to defend. Baron will help with the waves. But now, one of your largest source of consistent damage throughout the team fight is gone for 40 seconds left. DFM can look for an engage here and look to start anything up, while Sengoku Gaming will look to weather the storm. Will be a decent amount of lane clear, but the turret is soon to go down. Opperman utilizing his best abilities just to try and zone. The minion waves are here. They'll have super minions coming in the mid lane as well. Seros looking for an opportunity, does have R online. Evi close to has ultimate now. Steel can go forward here. He's going to look for an opportunity as Blank goes for the EQR. That is putting the Cataclysm down. A huge ultimate from Ziggs is going to burn down immediately, followed by the bullet time. Udapon and Gang stand no chance, as now DFM are routed. They need to be able to retreat. Evi still on the run here. Blank waiting for his EQ cooldown. Hopping away. Evi will get away to safety for now. Blank no flash to speak of. Sengoku Gaming are doing everything that they can to hold on to this game. DFM cannot put a nail in this one just yet, as now they have their turn to try and open up the base here. Teleport coming in from Ziggs to knock down this mid lane turret. Going to knock down the inhibitor as well. Udapon and Gang are only still 10 seconds away from respawning. Will Sengoku have an opportunity to end the game? Seros will need to do everything in his power to shred out these minions, as Steel getting hooked up and locked up for now. A huge E will pull multiple members of Sengoku in, and meanwhile, Evi is soloing Yotorimeyashi on the bottom end of that fight. Now it's Sengoku's turn to be routed. The bin base throws on both sides are monstrous, and now Enti getting blown up, but Seros is in the base. He has only Blank to deal with, while the rest of DFM can try and stop the backs. Seros is going to look for a game end opportunity, but Pyrian is here now, and so is Opperman. Seros may have just thrown away his life looking for an end, not even going to knock down the turret before it's over. Neither team can really just draw an end to this one, and it is starting to wane on both of these teams' sanities, as they just so desperately want to put an end to this, but they can't. It just, as they encroach into the base, one thing goes wrong and they're forced to retreat and then routed. And now DFM have the luxury of waiting for Seros' respawn. There will be no more fighting until they respawn. Mid lane inhibitor also respawning for Sengoku means they'll have the pushing advantage there. The downside is the top lane inhibitor for Sengoku and the mid lane inhibitor for DFM both present waves that they need to be addressing. Benefit to DFM here is that the top lane wave being further away from now this sole objective will be more of a pressing concern on their minds. Both top laners hanging out up there with teleports available. But that being said, this Mountain Drake will likely be everything, as neither team is going to give this up without a fight, and we've seen how close these fights have been. A Mountain Drake is just what they need to swing things in their favor, as Seros sneaking around up here. They might be looking for a backdoor opportunity, as Seros does not have teleport. Udapon, DFM might be looking to blitz the base while the Mountain Drake is here. Udapon has flash to get over the wall if they need to. They're escorting a wave in. They've pulled Sengoku away. They've forced out the backs. They are not finishing off the Mountain Drake. With Steel still hanging around, he can look for a steal opportunity on the Drake, so Sengoku are forced to answer to DFM first. Now DFM have inside track to this Mountain Drake. They're going to start burning it down, but Blank is here. Gang will do his best to zone, but Evi is not teleporting in anytime soon. Bullet Time will zone away Utapon for now. Steel is going to be the one who secures the Mountain Drake. Now Evi, alone on the base, is doing what he can. There goes Steel. The double knockup stops the teleport from Opperman. Now Enti alone versus Ceros and Evi. They have their opportunity to knock open this base. That is Inhib turret, or excuse me, Nexus turret dead. They are onto the inhibitor. The wall will zone for now, but the death sentence lands. It's going to keep Ceros locked up for now, but the Baron, the Nexus will survive. Sengoku hold on to the base against all odds. Steel is running away, but he cannot weather this storm forever. The minions are coming back. They are going to have time to do damage to the Nexus. It's going to barely any HP. What is happening in this game is now Gang is just going to get run down. Nowhere he can really go, but no Cataclysm means that Jarvan will not be able to finish that one off. Teleport now coming in from Pyrian. It's going to be his turn to try and end the game. Torimayashi is ready and willing to help out on that account. Will they have enough time? 20 seconds on these respawn timers and the Zig's ability to just nuke these turrets. Sengoku are going to turn this game on its head. A scramble is the only way to describe a game like that. What a game it is! Just the amount of times where they were brought each other to the brink of defeat and were slowly just had it taken away from them, and this just frantic scramble, this tug of war back and forth. It all ends in Sengoku's favor with the Nexus going down to just 1 HP. Sengoku, had they not turned around for those minions, they easily could have lost the game in that moment. And oh man, what a game! And that desperate frenzy coming out from both teams as they are just doing everything in their power to stay in this one. Sengoku comes out on top, and possibly not in a reliable fashion, but they do put themselves on the board. Whoo! And you know, although Sengoku does drop the first game, perhaps that speaks to how these teams match up when it's that close. The Mountain Soul comes down to a smite fight. The base itself comes down to one super minion auto from defeat. And in the end of all of it, Sengoku come out on top. What an insane game 3 here. We'll take another brief break here before we get into this next game. I don't know if my heart can handle another game like that. I've had too much caffeine to keep me awake for this cast. Well, I'll take a deep breath. We'll all take time to reset. We'll get ready for a game 4 here. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you are enjoying. I know I am with these kinds of matches. If you would like to go ahead and drop a follow, it is all appreciated. Thank you also very much to everyone who has dropped a follow so far. And your guys' support honestly means the world to me. Streams like this are made possible from you guys, so it really does mean a lot that just even a simple follow. We'll be sticking it out for this series, waiting to see Who comes out on top? Don't go anywhere as we'll return shortly.
ただここはデトネーションフォーカスミバックラインへのテレポート、これはセロスがやってくる硫酸衝撃狙いはピリアン、さらにはブランクも巻き込まれた。一瞬のバーストでピリアンが落ちた。1キル獲得はデトネーションフォーカスミ、エベメガナローヘルスのブランクを打ち取ってダブルキルはデトネーションフォーカスミセロス。いやセロさあこれはどうだ。ブランクとピリアンデスタイマー30秒、フラッシュンユタボンいった。2人にスネア入っている。エンティの死の宣告のフックは弦を捉えている。バレットタイム、ただここはスティールが飛び込んだ。いやーさらにはスリーマンスタンだ。ここはアバメ命から逃げるものの2キル獲得はデトネーションフォーカスミ。このままインヒビターまで取れますね。さあどうだ、ゲームエンドを見せるかデトネーションフォーカスミ。守るのはアバメン1人。ブランク選手とピリアン選手がもうすぐ援護の鎖。さあこれはうまくノックアップを生かして、さらにアバメン残してあるストップウォッチ、これで時間を作った。ブランクの復活が間に合った。決戦場かなり大人数を巻き込んでいる。ただ皇帝の分されるのに全ゲージ、そこから反転デトネーションフォーカスにブランクを打ち取っている。さあただピリアンも復活したぞ。エビの体力がローエルつながりかなり強気な立ち位置を取っている。エビはまたしても倒されない。ノーデッドデトネーションフォーカスにノーデッド、アバメンを追います。ただ届かないか。ワールドエンダー太陽の円盤があります。ネクサスは1本すでに割れている。残り10秒耐えきれるか。セオスがかなり強気な立ち位置だぞ。かわした。おっとただノックアップが入ったそのセロス。エビがメガナタイミング、ここでブランクいった。ノックアップゲン、そしてユタポンに決戦場を入れている。さあメガイベルのボムでゲンを打ち取ったぞ。さらにはガーディアンゲンゼルユタポン発動。バレットタイムで復活したところを打ち抜いていきたい取りまし。じゃあ逆に戦国ゲーミングがエンドを狙うか。いやさすがにそれはユタポン選手もう残り10秒ですよ。スティール横から狙っている。メガインフェルドも使ったとピリアン。エビの息子ゲージがいい形だ。2人を巻き込んだアルティメット、さらにはスタン素晴らしい形でまたしてもスティールが決めている。ここは一応戦国ゲーミング必要があるか。いやただここでアパメンが非常に強い。ランタンでそのアパメンを回収し、まだ戦国ゲーミングゆとりましが倒されているのみ。ピリアンはランタン再びエンティ素晴らしい。セロス選手がこれエンド狙っている。さあしかしここでスティールが倒された。いやブランクのリコールが間に合っています。どうだ、ネクサスタワーへとミニオンは到達しましたが、セロスの対応、さらにはピリアンもリコールが間に合った。ノックアップからセロスが捕まる形。さあセロスが狙っているようなネクサスタワーが破壊できない。シャットダウン獲得はピリアン。エンティのリコールは間に合っている。フックがかわしたエビとセロス。ネクサスタワーが取れそうだ。ネクサスタワー破壊。あとはネクサスター2人で破壊することができるのか。皇帝の分され、それを生かしながらエビがネクサスを叩いていく。戦国ゲーミング当てでメンバーを戻す。あと一発だが、いや足りない、足りません。いやスティールも来ていますが届かない。いや戦国ゲーミングギリギリですがゲームエンダーしていた。いやゲン選手がフラッシュであと一発ですから。ただ守るインヒビターが上がる。トップのインヒビターアップ、これでゲームエンドはなくなりました。戦国ゲーミングゲンを追っています。これはリコールはゲンできませんからゲームエンドいけるでしょう。死闘を制し戦国ゲーミング見事にゲーム4へ望みをつなぎました。